As it turned out, JT Miller wasn't really the story in his return to Vancouver, but his Rangers still beat the Canucks 2-0. We're breaking it down. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealers Studios in downtown Vancouver. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Rink Wide Vancouver brought to you in part by Bet365. I'm Jeff. He is Irf. And what are we going to talk about? Last time you were in, it was a 2-1 loss in Nashville. The Canucks at least had a goal that we could break down. This time, nada. They get skunked by Jonathan Quick, the ageless one, going to turn 40 in January, but he turned back the clock here. And he stymied the Canucks. They pressed late in the hockey game when it was still 1-0. Rangers with a goal late in the first period, and that stood up until an empty netter with about 90 seconds to go. A frustrating night, certainly for the home fans. So much anticipation about JT's return. That storyline fizzled in a hurry. And JT really was not a factor in this hockey game, but fortunately for the Canucks and their fans, it's hard to find a Canuck that was a factor in this one. There have been some disappointing, sluggish performances and results for the Canucks, and I think you add this one onto the pile, and unfortunately, Irf, the list of injuries, that pile is growing quickly too.
Yeah, Connor Garland, the latest Vancouver Canuck to be added to that injury list. We are unsure if Quentin Hughes is going to travel on this road trip. We're going to have to wait for lots of updates on those players, but there was a hockey game that was played, Jeff, and yes, as you alluded to in the very beginning, it was another dud that I'm in here for, working post-game with you. This show is not going to be a dud, though, however. Look, I think that a lot of the fireworks were made early on online, and they were taken completely sideways a little bit in some way, shape, or form, because once the game started, it's exactly what happened. It was the hockey game, and the Canucks got outplayed. And it was unfortunate because their best player on the ice was, once again, their goaltender.
Yeah, so 2-0 is your final score. The Canucks get outshot 25-22, just 22 shots on goal against a Rangers team that got lit up by the Calgary Flames the other night. Has been limping really all season long, came in with just 3 wins, have struggled at home, been a little bit better on the road, but they were there for the taking, much like Nashville was last week. But you can't win hockey games generally if you're only scoring one, or in this case, no goals. And so the Canucks fall to 5-6, back below 500, and 1 win in 5 now. Those numbers tell a story here that, got off to the nice start on the road trip, but really since the middle stages of the Washington game, it has been a struggle for the Canucks, save for the victory over the Edmonton Oilers on Sunday night. But just 1 win in their last 5 for this hockey club. As I said, heading out of the road now, starting on Thursday in St. Louis into Minnesota, and they wrap things up back in Nashville once again. And you know me, I bang the drum an awful lot here because I just think the home fans deserve more. They're 2-3 on home ice.
Yeah.
5 games at home, and they've won 2 of them opening night against Calgary, and then since then, just 1 win in 4. They've got to find a way to be better at home, and they have to take care of business against teams that are below them, teams that are at their level, and the Rangers certainly are. And again, I come back to the storyline that, sure, I'm as guilty as anybody. I mean, everybody in the media loves a good storyline. We all built it up. EP40 and JT Miller on the opening face-off of the hockey game. What was going to happen? Gasp. Nothing. And again, that storyline fizzled as the night went along. JT finishes 19 minutes and 24 seconds. He had a couple of shots on goal. Glorious chance on an early power play. And, he would have loved to have converted on that one. But really, as I look through my notes, that's the only time I've got 8 in road white written down. It just really wasn't much of a factor. Now, maybe that's because Elias Pettersson, head-to-head, took care of the matchup, but EP40 didn't win the matchup because he didn't score. Yeah. Nobody on the Vancouver Canucks scored. Elias Pettersson just 1 shot on goal. This vowed to be shooting more after scoring on the one-timer the other night. You were hoping that was going to be some positive reinforcement for him. Not to be. And again, 22 shots as a team. Like that's just simply not good enough.
Yeah, I had a problem with where he was in the late stages of the game, too, just trying to tie the game. And I don't know, that's maybe not on him. That could be on the deployment or where he was, and they couldn't get the positioning of the players that he wanted. But Elias Pettersson should not be on his off wing passing the puck to Philip Hronek to try and get a shot to work it down low. He needs to be in shooting territory. He needs to be on the wing where he's comfortable, where his strong side is, and they should be feeding him the puck left, right, and center in order to try and tie that hockey game.
Yeah, I'm glad he picked up on that because Jake DeBrusk was where Pettersson should have been. Jake DeBrusk not really a threat to shoot or score from distance there. And I get Quinn Hughes is out of the lineup. You're not going to replace Quinn Hughes, but sticking EP40 in Quinn Hughes' spot, totally different players. And that one felt a little misguided. And, I think it's fair to question some of the coaching decisions and deployment. They didn't lose because EP40 was out there in that situation late, but you got to put your team in the best position to score a goal. Again, it's 1-0 with 3 minutes to go. The goaltender's out. Like, make it a shooting gallery. Put it on the stick of the guy that ripped the one-timer. It's there. We saw it over the weekend, and it just was not on display in this hockey game. The one guy that was shooting for the Canucks was Lucas Reichel.
Yeah.
Chances galore. As I look through my notes, one in each period. Had the glorious opportunity in the first, and Jonathan Quick flashing the leather, looking like a 25-year-old Jonathan Quick backstopping the LA Kings to Stanley Cups. He's getting on in years, but still has it. That was a terrific save. Got him into the hockey game. And then Reichel off the rush in the second period. Another really good look. And unfortunately for the Canucks, I'm not able to pull the trigger. And then in the slot with about 8 minutes to go, set up by Kiefer Sherwood, and looked like he got the look he was looking for. And looked like he got the look he was looking for. That's a lot of looks. Whatever the case, there was no goal. And so 4 shots on goal for Lucas Reichel. Again, a guy that's settling in and finding his way and figuring out systems and all that kind of stuff. Again, saw lots of good from the newcomer here. You just hope at some point the bounces will go his way, but that's been an issue for his time in the National Hockey League, that there just hasn't been that production, even if it looks good. It is a bottom line business, and on a night like tonight, any one of those chances, if he converts, hey, maybe it's a different outcome.
I know we're going to get to your stat that stands out a little bit later. We're going to get to mine here really early. I just didn't like, according to Natural Stat Trick, 0 high danger chances for in the second period.
Yeah.
So second period, like this game was a dud for the Vancouver Canucks.
And it's a 1-0 game at that time.
You'd think there'd be some sort of press pushback or a little bit more offense and try and get to something. I mean, you might have to credit the Rangers a little bit, but you also have to create your own luck. If you're the Vancouver Canucks, move your feet a little bit more, pepper some shots. As you just mentioned, Jonathan Quick isn't, spring chicken Jonathan Quick anymore. Like, he's a little bit older than that. I mean, I know he plays well, but the Canucks have to do a way better job of generating chances, and they just didn't do that here against the New York Rangers.
No, and at the end of the night, and they got the late power play that kind of just skews the stats. Rangers had already scored, I thought the empty netter was shorthanded, but it wasn't. But the Canucks go 0 for 3 on the power play. But more than that, they generate exactly 2 shots on goal. Or 3. Give them 3 officially. So 1 shot per power play. I'm a guy that wants to see a shot per minute when you got the man advantage, and Canucks came nowhere close to that. So, again, Quinn Hughes is out of the lineup. Connor Garland left this hockey game. There are some explanations, but it's still the NHL. There's enough top-end talent to put a power play together that should be able to move the puck around and create something. And unfortunately, it just wasn't there for the Vancouver Canucks in this hockey game. So again, they fall 2-0 to the New York Rangers. Rangers swept them last year in the head-to-head matchups, and teams will meet again at Madison Square in mid-December as part of a 5-game road trip. But that's down the road now for the Canucks. They got to figure some things out about who's going to be available for them out on this road trip. And obviously, Connor Garland leaving this game to start the third period, massive concern. And you do have to wonder if this tracks back to the final minute of the first period where he got rocked. Sam Carrick absolutely caught Connor Garland in the neutral zone. Big, heavy hit. Marcus Pettersson takes exception, chases after Carrick, gives him the stick tap. Doesn't get the instigator, but the refs do give Marcus Pettersson a roughing minor on top of the matching fighting majors, so the Canucks were shorthanded at that point. Connor Garland stays in the game. He plays the second period, but, and again, I don't want to speculate, but I am sort of doing the math here and connecting dots, that was really seemed like the only play in this hockey game where Connor Garland was in some distress, but he picked himself up off the ice. Whatever the case, wasn't available in the third period when they could have used him. Their leading point scorer. And now there has to be some mounting concern if he joins this long list of walking wounded that includes Quinn Hughes. Obviously, Filipino's out of the lineup. Teddy Bluger, Victor Mancini joining that group. Derek Forbert now on long-term injured reserve from maintenance day to LTIR. So, yeah, I mean, it is getting ridiculous. 11 games into the season.
Yeah, like you just said, Quinn Hughes, Filipino, Connor Garland, Nils Höglander, Derek Forbert, Victor Mancini, Teddy Bluger, Jonathan Lekkerimäki,
Right.
all out. So if it isn't one thing, it's definitely another here so far for the Vancouver Canucks. The hits, no pun intended, they just keep coming, and
Yep.
the depth is definitely getting tested here for the Vancouver Canucks, seeing how deep this depth pool is. They can, handle their own on some nights. They're not going to carry the team on most nights, so you're going to need your guys. And your guys right now are Elias Pettersson, Jake DeBrusk, Evander Kane, Brock Besser. You can't even include Connor Garland in that anymore. And then your defensive horse is Philip Hronek, who obviously eats a lot of minutes. And yeah, I think right now the other guy is Thatcher Demko that you're really solely depending on. But you get performances like this where Demko gets peppered with shots, making all the key saves. It takes near perfect shots. Like that Zibanejad goal was perfection. It was a beautiful pass. Caught Demko out of position a little bit, tried to make the Spalling save and wasn't able to do it. Everything else he saw, he stopped.
Yeah, as we show the replay here on the live stream, great headman pass from Adam Fox. That's what he does. He's got a share of the team lead in points in the early going here, but he starts the transition. It's Cooley carries the puck in, sort of fans on the first attempt to pass it across, and you wonder if that maybe caught Demko. Whatever the case, the second time around puts it right onto the stick of Zibanejad, and he makes no mistake. 17:27 of the first period. That's the only goal. It looked like it might be the only goal of the hockey game until Sam Carrick scored into the empty net. But let's just take the discussion a little further on that first goal because while Zibanejad shows nice finish in tight and is able to roof it up over Demko, Evander Kane just got to be stronger on the back check, quite frankly. This guy's been at this for a long time. It hasn't been a terrific start to his Canuck career or Canuck tenure. Still looking for his first goal at a time when a single goal anywhere here or in Nashville the other night could have tipped the scales in the favor of the Canucks. It has to come at some point here, but if he's not scoring, Irv, then he can't be dogging it on the back check. Can't be taking the penalties that he is. Leads the team in minor penalties. Took another one in this hockey game. So hard to sit here and sing the praises of Evander Kane 11 games into this season.
Yeah, 8 shot attempts, only 1 hit the net. Right? You got to get the shot through a little bit. He always finds himself in a way to poke around up front of the goalie and on the opposing side. There was a scrum in front of the net. He was in and involved there, just unable to find the puck. But you're right. The back check, coaches aren't going to like that. It's going to go over in video, and they're going to have a long discussion about that probably. And Evander knows that. You mentioned he's been in this for a long time. Like, you can't take those penalties. We talked about it in the first game of the season. You got the full Evander Kane experience in the first game, and you just cannot be taking that many penalties. I know the penalty kill's so good, but your offensive zone penalties, if you're taking a couple of those this season, and it's the lazy penalties that you are taking that are definitely hurting your team a little bit. So one of those things where if you're not scoring, you have to contribute to the team in another way. And right now, what are we saying that Evander Kane's contributing to the other team in the other way if he's not scoring?
Yeah. Just a single hit. This wasn't a terribly physical game outside of the big hit by Carrick in the fight, but then initiate. Find a way. Kiefer Sherwood finds a way to take the body and finish his checks, and Evander Kane. And look, Evander Kane, 11 games into the season, cannot be complaining about his usage. This guy continues. He got 19 minutes of ice time again here. He has to do more, and especially in the absence of others. I'm not expecting him to be the first star every night, but he's got to make more positive contributions than he has through the first 11 games of the season. Lost cause for the Canucks. They fall 2-0 to the Rangers. And this sort of just speaks to the injuries, where they are as an organization. Abbey got shut out on home ice by the Calgary Wranglers. That doesn't happen often. Both the parent team and the farm club without a goal on the same night. But you feel for Manny Malhotra because he's got nothing in his lineup because so many guys are up in the National Hockey League, but the ones that were in the NHL unable to get the job done. So not a great night for the Canuck organization, but it's always a great night to support the BC Mental Health Foundation. They're our Super Chat charity partner, and you know the drill now. If you have a comment, a question, a concern, and you want to get it through to us and read here on Rink Wide, it'll go to the top of the queue. It'll cost you a few bucks, your call, but it all supports the BC Mental Health Foundation. $1,800 thanks to you in support last year. This was from last season. raised almost $1,800 for the BC Mental Health Foundation. So thanks to everybody that contributed. And Justice coming to the Super Chat here tonight. Keep the charity donations going. Tough game. Not much for Canucks until late. Garland going down, real bad. Hopefully not long. Love the show. And we love the support, so thank you for the comment and the Super Chat. Free Petey says, Reichel passing all the eye tests. And yeah, we touched on that. The Canucks have 22 shots. Reichel has 4 of them. So putting himself in position, the speed is noticeable. Again, you want it to manifest into something more than just us talking about all these chances.
Yeah.
And first night was a struggle in the face-off circle. Second night against the Oilers, got it figured out. Won 1 of 9 face-offs tonight. If you're going to play center in the National Hockey League, you got to do better than 1 for 9 in the circle. And again, another night where the Canucks' second-best team in the face-offs, and a big part of it was that discrepancy right there. So, yeah, not a perfect game for Lukas Reichel, but again, things to build on. I keep saying, like, a guy that could so desperately use a practice with his new team and just isn't going to, with the schedule, there's no let-up. Travel day tomorrow, game day on Thursday. Maybe they practice in Minnesota on Friday. Who knows? But for Lukas Reichel, still trying to figure out, and now with all these moving parts coming in and out of the lineup as well, that's just going to make it that much more difficult for him to sort of find his footing. So it's a tough spot, but he wanted out of Chicago. He wanted a new chance. He's getting it here. Ends up playing 15 minutes and 40 seconds. I was a little surprised, just given the fact that he was one of the guys that seemed to be generating on this night, that when they pulled the goaltender and went 6-on-5 and at one point 6-on-4, there was Evander Kane again. If he's out there, they want him using his size and getting to the front of the net and being disruptive. That wasn't happening. I was a little surprised that you wouldn't just tap the guy that looked like he might have the tying goal on his stick.
Yeah, look, he's running on fumes right now, right? With all the travel and everything, a couple of travel, game, and then off day, and then game again. So eventually you think he might be able to find his footing or settle down. But I think the biggest thing is what you just mentioned there, Jeff, is there's so many moving parts in the lineup. Like, if it's going to be him, Kane, and Besser, it needs to be him, Kane, and Besser. Because Elias Pettersson, in all reality, if he has Jake DeBrusk, he can play with anybody there and slot them in. If you want to try and build some trust and build some chemistry really quick with Lukas Reichel, you need to have two consistent line mates for him, just in my opinion. And it might be tough to do because you obviously want to get Elias Pettersson going. You want to have that line loaded up. But I think in order to get the best out of this young man who's now come into a new situation, he wanted out, he got in, he got what he wanted. I think maybe they owe it to him to try and have a little bit of consistency with who he plays with night in and night out.
I see lots of people in the chat want us to talk about Tom Willander and his NHL debut, and we'll certainly get there. In fact, let's look at some of the guys that played key roles in this hockey game. Time for the 3 stars, brought to you by Greta Bar YVR. Great place to catch all the games, and so many games in all sports right now. It's just an incredible time to be a sports fan. Greta's walking distance from the rink and the stadium, or if you would prefer to watch a bunch of games, they got all sorts of big screens there. So hockey, baseball, football, soccer, you name it. It's all going on these days. Greta's got you covered. They've got the street food menu that we tell you about, weekly drink specials. There are game night specials for food and drink as well. You want to check those out. And they've got all the arcade games as well. That just adds to the fun. If you haven't checked it out, do yourself a favor. Greta Bar, the place to be, 50 West Cordova, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. 3 stars selected by the Sportsnet crew: Jonathan Quick, Thatcher Demko, and Mika Zibanejad. All right, on the same wavelength, but we go with the 2 Rangers, the shutout and the goal scorer, the winning goal, and there's Thatcher Demko again, giving this team a chance. Jonathan Quick, and we'll talk more about him, hasn't played much. Igor Shesterkin had started 8 of the first 10, and so Jonathan Quick still battling for starts. So a performance like this one, Shesterkin's struggling, giving up 6 and 5 in his last 2 outings. So maybe this gives Mike Sullivan something to think about when it comes to his goaltending decisions. There's Zibanejad. I didn't notice him a ton in this hockey game. I didn't think he was dominant, but in a game that didn't have a whole lot going on, ultimately he scores a big goal to give the Rangers a lead, and one that they wouldn't relinquish. Played 23 minutes and 51 seconds, so he played an awful lot. 3 shots, 6 attempts. So he is the 2nd star. And there is Thatcher Demko. And I don't know how much more the Canucks can ask of their number 1 guy. Another really solid performance here. 1-0, and then the empty netter. So he's on the hook for the 1 goal off the rush that we described and showed on the live stream a little bit earlier. But this is tough for him. They scored 1 goal for him in Edmonton in Game 2 of the season.
I mean, Jeff, it's nothing he isn't used to. And that's the problem.
I suppose 1 goal in Nashville the other night, and 1 goal. Well, no, they would have liked 1 goal in this one. They did get 4 for him the other night in the victory over the Edmonton Oilers. There were some stops here. We talked about the Miller chance. He didn't have to make that save, but Taylor Radish, who leads the Rangers with 4 goals on that power play in front, he had an opportunity, and Demko was up to the challenge there. There were other chances along the way. Rangers had the 3 power plays. Demko just looks so solid. He just looks on top of his game now, and so that is promising. It continues to be a really promising and encouraging development given the injuries of a year ago, but you just wonder, how long can he sort of fight off frustration on nights like this one? We know that he's taken on this bigger leadership role in that locker room. You can't throw your teammates under the bus. You can't turn on them. You can encourage them to keep doing things that'll lead to some goals, but ultimately he can't be asked to go out there and generate offense. He does his job. He just needs other guys to do theirs.
I was just about to say, he can't go Dustin Wolf on his team.
Well,
I mean, poor guy
he
has a .958 save percentage in this game and takes an L.
Yeah,
like that is tough. That is tough. And I think everyone grabs the stat sheets after the game because they want to look at what was good and what was bad. Most players, it's in the room, it's available. All of the Canucks players offensively, defensively should look at that and say, our goalie gave us this, and we couldn't give him any help. And that's happened way too much.
Yep. And so Thatcher Demko deserving the 3rd star, certainly. Rangers with 25 shots on goal. You look at Demko's night, he stops 23 of 24. And so, again, we've talked about this. We talked about it on the weekend. Lankinen is struggling. No back-to-backs for more than a week now. I do wonder if Demko plays 2 of 3 out on this road trip. Lankinen will get 1 in there. If that's the case, then that would amount to 4 of 5 starts over a 5-game span for Thatcher Demko. But he's given them a chance to win right now. Lankinen isn't, and so Kevin Lankinen's got to work on his game. I do wonder, and we're seeing this a little bit around the league, like Joel Hofer, the backup in St. Louis, is just, it's like he's forgotten how to play the game. There are others. Jacob Markstrom got absolutely ventilated in Colorado.
If you haven't seen that score, go take a look at it.
Like, there isn't a lot of practice time, and I do wonder, Markstrom coming off injury, like, you're just getting thrown into these games, and for Lankinen, like, if you're not playing and not playing well, practice is an opportunity to, work on your game or, hone your craft. They're just not getting practice times right now, and so when he gets in there, if he's fighting it, it's showing right now. So it's going to be an ongoing thing here as Demko continues to play well. What does that do for the goaltending decisions on the part of the Canucks? But they know that they cannot afford to overplay their number 1 guy. That's when you run into trouble. Another super chat from Justice. He just keeps bringing it. For the people who said Demko signing was bad, they can pipe it. He is him. Maybe I can see him live once every game I'm at. He isn't the starter. Well, that's unfortunate because the way he's playing right now, I don't know if any one player is worth the price of admission for an NHL ticket, although it's not McDavid on Sunday. But Thatcher Demko continuing to put on a show and do what he can to help this hockey club, but really tough to win games when no goals are scored unless it's a 1-0 shootout victory. All right. We're talking about goaltenders. Let's get to the stat that stands out. It's delivered by Uber Eats, and Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. And every time the Canucks are playing at home, you can get a buy one, get one 6-piece chicken McNuggets from McDonald's in Vancouver, only on Uber Eats. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins, if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, or after the game, Uber Eats, assisting every hockey fan's experience all season long. Hashtag crave the stats. And our stat that stands out in this one, Jonathan Quick. We've talked about him a bunch here. 22 saves for his 64th career shutout, or 64 shutouts for Jonathan Quick. That is tops among active National Hockey League goaltenders, and there you can see his 6th against the Vancouver Canucks. Used to do it fairly regularly as a member of those stout LA King teams. And as we said, he's going to turn 40 in January, but no sign of slowing down for Jonathan Quick here, a guy that's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think there's much doubt of that. Whenever he hangs him up, has been one of the best of this generation. And 64 career shutouts. That stands out, certainly. So there you go. The stat that stands out here on Rink Wide Vancouver.
He's still definitely a little bit old school. You go in near or in and around his crease, you're taking a shot in the ankle, you're taking a shot in the back with the stick, and he's getting away with it most times because he's done it for so long, as we can see with obviously our stat that stands out. But he does it, and he's effective, and the Rangers are lucky to have him with the way their goaltending situation's going right now.
Yeah, he kind of hacked at EP40 when he lowered the boom on Vakanainen in the first period. And then at the end of the game thing was weird. They'd won. He'd had his shutout. Kiefer Sherwood finished a check, but it was pretty mild, all things considered. I don't know what Jonathan Quick saw, or maybe he just heard the boards rattle a little bit. Anyways, it went pretty mildly, all things considered. But, he can be a fiery competitor without a doubt. Jax in the chat says, they just need their players back. Hope they can keep their head above water or at least be close enough to use a snorkel. It does feel like the season is going to live on the razor's edge for the Vancouver Canucks. Again, they dropped to 5-6, so now they're a game below 500. There's lots of reasons for it, but 5-6 can become 5-8 pretty quickly, and then you're really chasing and trying to claw back to 500, and then of course 500 is not going to get it done. By season's end, you got to be 12 or 13 games over 500. So that's the hockey math that's in front of the Vancouver Canucks. And so, yes, it is a matter of just trying to survive this stretch here and hope that they get some healthy bodies back, or maybe they get some good news on some of the injured guys. Maybe Quinn isn't as badly injured as they first believed, and maybe Connor Garland was just precaution after taking the hard knock. Who knows? But we'll see on Thursday when they get to St. Louis to start the road trip who's available. The only thing there is, and I get this line of thinking from a fan that, just wait and get a couple of healthy guys back. But guess what? These are the Canucks. By the time these guys get healthy again,
you'll have played 10 games.
Well, but there's nothing that says other guys aren't going to get injured, right? I mean, that's just the way it seems to work, and it seems to snowball the more you have more injured guys. So, Nuxford Cup says, is there a worse team 6-on-5? Regardless of which team pulls the goalie, they are heavily outscored. They got one late the other day against Montreal. Mm-hmm. Wasn't enough. They came up a goal short there. Lekermacki scored a nice 6-on-5 goal in the preseason in Edmonton with the cross-crease one-timer. It was preseason, doesn't matter. So I don't know. I mean, I would have to drill down on a whole bunch of data, I suppose, to find out if they are the worst team 6-on-5. But yeah, they didn't look particularly sharp, and we talked about some of those deployment issues there. So we've already covered that a little bit.
I think I don't think you want to be a good 6-on-5 team because that means you're fighting to come back in games, right? That means you're not doing enough in the 58 minutes or 57 minutes or whatever it is to be in a position where you are winning or you are in control of the game. So I'm not sure if I want to be on the right side of that stat, but I mean, I do get it. I didn't like the deployment of players. There wasn't enough shots. They kind of moved it around a little bit too much, poked it around, shoveled it to the net a couple times, and things didn't go their way. But the Canucks' problems, yes, injuries, obviously number one. I'm not going to hide away from that. But, everyone says it, and they're going to say it in the room too, probably. Next man up. Who's it going to be, and when is it going to be?
Well, if they have to dip into Abbotsford, it's getting awfully thin down there to find the next man up. Vitaly Kravtsov? We'll see. Nils Oman's here, still on the roster as the extra forward. Adam Foote confirming after the game that, yes, the Garland injury did come on the hit by Carrick, but the coach didn't offer any kind of update beyond that, so that's a little concerning that they're going to take their time here before revealing any sort of further status for Connor Garland, so fingers crossed for him that he can travel, and if he can't play Thursday, maybe can play at some point out on the road trip. All right, Tom Valander, we got a super chat. Ring the bell. It's another contribution to the BC Mental Health Foundation. Again, it comes from Free Petey. Thoughts on Valander's debut? By the numbers, Tom Valander played 12 minutes and 37 seconds. Got some power play 2 time, which maybe surprised a little, although Victor Mancini had some the other night, and Valander basically was his replacement. But was out there 6-on-5 as well. That surprised me. And we talked about no Reichel. I guess it was a shift. Hronek couldn't play basically the whole third period. So the one shift that Hronek didn't play, they had Tom Willander out there. And the rookie will play in those situations down in Abbotsford as well. And so it's how does it translate when you're thrown into the big league fire? Of course, in your NHL debut, maybe you're not expecting to be out there late game helping, trying to find the tying goal. I thought there was some good, and there were a couple of moments that maybe he'd like a little bit of a do-over. One of his first shifts, he was out there with DPD and he handcuffed him with a pass in their own slot out in front of Thatcher Demko, and DPD was able to get it out of harm's way. But you can't offload your problems. The pressure, just everything happens quicker at the NHL level, and I don't know if he got caught by surprise there. And then there was a sequence in the second period where he did well to get a shot away. Jonathan Quick made the save, but on the same shift, he got caught 2-on-1 the other way. He was hustling back. That's when DPD went sliding into Thatcher Demko and was worried for a sec there that defender was going to bowl the goaltender over, and that's the last thing Demko needs. Anyways, he looked fine there, but that was a case of a young guy getting caught in a shift. And again, things happen quickly at the NHL level, and off to the races went the Rangers.
Yeah, congratulations to Tom Willander for making his NHL debut. Obviously, it's a good feather in the cap for him, and hopefully he has a really long NHL career. Still think there's definitely some raw talent there. The minors is a good place right now, and they're just, decimated with injuries, and that's the reason why he is up here and he's playing. The 6-on-5 is interesting, and like the power play as well, because he's QB PP1 in Abbotsford. He's the guy that runs everything there. Yep. So why not just give him an opportunity here as well to go and at least try and get that? I like the 2 shots on net. He's at least shooting the puck or showing, the confidence to fire the puck towards the net, or at least do something to make something happen. But as you mentioned and alluded to, there's, little things that he's going to have to work on, pinching at the right time, not getting lost in defensive zone, a little bit of defensive zone structure. But these things are going to happen, and these things are going to come with time, and he's going to gain his confidence, and I'm sure he'll be just fine and playing for the Canucks a lot more in his career.
Yeah, and Kirill Kravtsov up on the roster as well, so we'll see if he gets plugged back in. Made his debut late last season, so he's been there and done that. Willander got the rookie lap. That obviously comes with the territory now. First game in the NHL bucket list, and out there doing the thing. We mentioned the ice time, 12:37, 1 minute and 22 seconds on the power play, 21 seconds shorthanded, and just a shade under 11 minutes at even strength. 2 shots on goal on 4 attempts, so you want to see him active in the offensive zone. Didn't look out of place, and I actually thought this was a really good game for him to make his NHL debut. When you think of the storylines coming in, it was all about JT and his return, and JT and Elias Pettersson. And I think on any other night, Irf, a first rounder, a right shot defenseman, a guy that has come up through the system and played out in Abbotsford and all that. I think there would have been probably more focus on Tom Willander, but he really was a bit of a sideshow. Not that people weren't in this market, everything gets scrutinized. I get that part, but it wasn't all about Tom Willander's debut. He just kind of slid in under the radar a little bit while all those other storylines persisted until the drop of the puck.
Yeah, and I think that maybe it's something that he liked too. He didn't have to worry about anything. There wasn't too many cameras in his face. It wasn't a couple days he was leading up to this and knew he was going to play and things like that. He gets called up. They probably told him, all right, be ready. And that was it. And on a day where, a lot of the headlines were taken by Elias Pettersson and JT Miller leading up to this game, and the fan base and our chat and whatever, and when nothing happened, as I predicted in the hockey game, it was up to the Vancouver Canucks as a team as a whole to try and do something. And, JT Miller, fairly quiet. Elias Pettersson, fairly quiet in this hockey game as well. And now hopefully we can all move on from this.
I think we can. Again, They will play again in December. But, yes, I think it just took JT, got the video tribute, got the... It was funny because the first couple times he touched the puck, there was certainly some boo. You could hear it. But then the video tribute, he got the standing ovation. You could see him trying to be pretty stoic there. And I mentioned this on Canucks Convo earlier in the day, to give you a sense of what this meant to JT Miller. This wasn't just another game. And he's gone back to places that he's played before. He's been traded before. His wife and his daughters came out from New York for this game. Spent yesterday... the girls did visiting old classmates and former minor hockey teammates. this is a big deal for them to sort of come back and close this chapter of their lives. And so, I'm doubting that JT Miller's wife brings the kids out on many road trips over the course of the season, but they made a point of being here for this one tonight.
Yeah, JT was asked about it after Molly Walker, the beat reporter for the New York Rangers. So I'll read you the JT quote. He says, "It's just surreal. You don't know how lucky you are. Just really happy that my kids got to be here today and my wife. It means a ton to me. Just feel super lucky to have the support in a hockey crazy city. It was a really special chapter of our lives here."
And that sort of echoes what he said earlier today. He stood in there and answered all sorts of questions about his time here, the way it ended, but his legacy, if you will, and sort of the highs and some of the lows as well. And handled himself as he usually did. He could be gruff, and there were some days where he wasn't in the mood to engage with the media. But for the most part, he was a pretty good guy to deal with, and I'm sure he's delighted to get the win. Yeah. They needed it. It was a bounce back game for them after getting thumped in Calgary the other night. So what a weird road trip for them. They go Calgary, Vancouver, back to Alberta, to Edmonton, and then down to Seattle, but no back-to-backs. In this compressed schedule, we're talking about the Canucks coming up for air and playing every other night, and then sometimes 3 and 4 and all that. The Rangers are able to come all the way out here and not play back-to-backs. Like, who's doing favors for them at the league office and the scheduling? We'll leave that for another day. Look, we've broken down a bunch of players. I want to talk about the guy that played the most in this hockey game. And if Quinn Hughes remains out, this is probably going to be a regular thing. This segment of Rink Wide Vancouver, presented by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid and its no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. You can drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone. That's enough to get you from downtown to the rink to the grocery store and then home to recharge. It seamlessly transitions from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of nearly 1,000 kilometers, 962 kms. No sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style with its sleek, low, and wide exterior and sophisticated interior, and it's loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. Right now, you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months with $3,600 down, and it includes a $3,000 discount. So visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Filip Hronek, a busy man, as you might expect. The number 2 on this team, but in the absence of the number 1, he gets bumped up, and they asked a lot of him. They did the other night, played up over 28 minutes against the Oilers in a game that included a little bit of overtime, and here tonight again, 28-33 for Filip Hronek by period. He went 9:53 of the first, 9:37 of the second, and 9:03 in the third period. So pretty consistent, all in the 9 to 10 minute mark. All adds up to 28-33. The problem is you can take Quinn Hughes' minutes, but you're not going to do the things that Quinn Hughes does. And that's not a knock on Filip Hronek.
No, nobody is.
You'd say that about anybody that is trying to slide in. So, can he handle the heavy workload? Yes. But where Quinn generates and so often will have 8, 9, 10 shot attempts, for the longest time in this game, Filip Hronek had just 1 shot attempt and it went about 15 feet over the net. He ends up with 3 shots on goal and 5 shot attempts, so a bunch of them coming late. But, again, just doesn't create anywhere close to the opportunities that Quinn Hughes does. But, I mean, nobody does, and you can't replace that if you're the Vancouver Canucks. So I commend Hronek for the workload and shouldering the workload. I'd like to see him get his shot on goal a little bit more because he's got a heavy shot. But, yeah, I mean, if he's out there playing half the game, I'm not sure ultimately what that's going to mean or what it's going to lead to for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I think Quinn Hughes is one of a few players in the National Hockey League, and the Canucks are one of a few teams that have the type of player like him where a lot of the offense can be generated through Quinn Hughes. That the other guys just can't do that. And for Filip Hronek, yeah, you're right. Played 28 minutes. You want to see a little bit more offensively, but I think defensively they were okay. And I think that's probably the part where they're hoping that they can get, it locked down and play in a system, play with a little more structure. Because Quinn runs loose and Filip Hronek plays with him. And, he's a stay-at-home defenseman, make sure everything's nice and tidy, and let's Quinn go and do your thing. Now, Filip Hronek's the guy that has to stay home and be nice and tidy and also got to go and do the thing. because Quinn's not around. So a bigger workload, obviously, but I agree with you. I would like to see more, and he's got a cannon of a shot too.
Yeah,
like even if on that power play, if there's any opportunity, just let it go.
Right, and maybe you score, but if it's heavy enough and the goalie gets a piece of it, it's hard to make a clean save, loose change line around. It can lead to scoring opportunities for others. And here we are, 11 games into the season, and no goals for Filip Hronek, not alone. The underlying numbers are solid. Like his individual Corsi at 57%. So playing a lot, held his own and was above 50% there. Shots were 7-6 in favor of the Vancouver Canucks, and he wasn't on the ice for any of the goals I guess the one goal at even strength. So, again, trying to do what he can, but you just see the gap between one of the true elites in the National Hockey League in Quinn Hughes and a guy who can handle the workload but just can't tilt the ice in the Canucks' favor the same way.
We have the goalie?
I see that.
Yep.
So, all right. We've talked about his performance. We talked about the performance of the guys in front of him, but let's hear from Thatcher Demko after his Canucks fall 2-0 to the New York Rangers.
You could tell both teams really wanted to win. I thought they were probably a hair quicker than us the first half, and then I thought we gave a pretty good effort there in the third to make a push and get back in the game. And just couldn't find, we had a ton of loose pucks kind of laying around the crease there and just couldn't find one to put in the back of the net. But it's disappointing.
Connor doesn't return for the third period. With the number of injuries now, how frustrating is it? Can you remember ever having a stretch like this with the number of guys that are out?
Probably not. It's tough. I don't know what to tell you. That's about it. We got a game in 2 days that we got to get ready for. So hopefully Gar's okay. Hopefully everybody's okay. But our focus is on kind of the next man up and got to get some wins.
This team hasn't had a lot of problems scoring this year. How different was it for you tonight? I mean, you've had that in previous years, but just to have margins that tight where you couldn't give much up at all.
Every game's different. Not sure what the story is going to be each night, but again, I thought we created some looks in the third that just didn't find the back of net. So unfortunately, that's the nature of the game. It's going to go that way sometimes. It didn't go our way tonight.
It's Quick a goalie that you kind of watched coming up.
For sure. I mean, he was my idol. I grew up in San Diego, and he was kind of coming up through the ranks in LA, and he was definitely a guy that I always idolized. And I've been around him a little bit over the years, just kind of working out in the summer and things like that, especially early in my career. And he got the better of me tonight.
I hadn't really thought about the SoCal connection there, but of course, growing up in San Diego and watching Jonathan Quick, it makes perfect sense that Thatcher Demko was drafted in 2014, and Quick was winning Stanley Cups in 2012 and 2014 for the Kings, so would have been right there in his sort of mid-teen years, and called him his idol, and then said at the end got the better of him. I had to laugh then. And we just hope everybody's okay. Sure, you can hope that. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is everybody isn't okay right now, and now the waiting game begins to see if Quinn Hughes and or Connor Garland will make this road trip with the Vancouver Canucks. You can tell a little frustration there on the part of the goaltender. I mean, again, he's being asked questions about the team scoring goals for him. That's not his department, and there's only so much he can do ultimately.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to throw his team under the bus. Right. And I think that's probably the number one thing. And, he's a leader in that room. You can just see a little bit of dejection in his face. I mean, he's going to go out there every night and battle hard for his guys. And I don't think it's dejection because it is so early in the season. And they obviously believe in that room that this team can be special or think that there's something that can be righted with this ship the way that it's going wrong. I think it's just the injuries, man. I really do. With all the guys going down, it seems like one time after another, they just can't catch a break. And I think that's where the frustration is probably coming in from through a lot of it.
Right, and you go back to the 50-win, 109-point season and that quote from Jim Rutherford at the start about if everything goes right, he felt they were a playoff team. Well, they were better than that year, but part of everything going right was they avoided the injury bug up until Thatcher Demko got hurt down the stretch and wasn't there for the playoffs. But in terms of all their leading scorers, it was single digits for the top 7 scorers that year. Missed a grand total of 9 games or something, and here. Obviously, it started in the preseason, and it's just kind of gone from there. In fact, I was looking, as a team, the Canucks have 28 goals this season. Connor Garland has 3 of them. Filipino has 3 of them. Teddy Bluger, Jonathan Lekermacki, and Quinn Hughes. That's 9. So 9 of their 28 goals. Now you're down to 19 goals were actually on the ice and available to the Canucks once Garland left this hockey game.
Yeah.
You're pressing. You're looking for equalizer. There was 5 minutes to go in this game, Irf, and they had a line of Ratu, Kane, and Drew O'Connor, I think, or Linus Karlsson. Like, there's no goals. None of those guys have scored a goal yet this year.
But Jeff, that's who they have.
I understand
Yeah,
that, but
that's
I just
the problem.
That's
right?
what you're asking. All of
Yeah.
a sudden is a miracle, essentially, for this group to generate some offense. And miracles generally don't happen. That's why they are miracles. And so, look, this is a tough night. It was frozen frenzy around the National Hockey League. Are you okay? Did you survive frozen frenzy?
I did. So we survived frozen frenzy.
Actually, this game had an explosion of goals because Dallas beat Washington 1-0.
Oh, wow.
This wasn't the lowest scoring game.
So Ovi didn't get his 900th.
Ovi is stuck on 899. So do the math in a frozen frenzy, 32 teams in action, 16 games. It means that there was going to be some movement. And I get it's early. We're not even out of October yet, but I'm not going to get too caught up in the standings necessarily. But on a night like tonight, the Oilers won, Vegas won, Seattle lost, but in overtime. So Kraken pick up another point. Dallas won, Chicago won, Anaheim won, the Los Angeles Kings won. Those teams are all ahead of the Canucks. And that's sort of the problem here is you're not going to win every game. I get that. But on nights like this, a lot of teams are picking up points. And so that's why the Canucks have to do their best to nip any sort of losing streak in the bud. And they were able to stop a 3-gamer when they beat Edmonton. But now with this loss, as I said earlier, it's 4 losses in 5. That is not trending in the right direction, and that doesn't even speak to the key injuries and the personnel and how much difficult it's going to be, or how much more difficult it's going to be for the Canucks to find their footing here as they head out on the road to St. Louis, to Minnesota, and to Nashville. So 3 Central Division teams, 3 teams in the Western Conference. All 3 are behind the Canucks. Nashville's tied with the Vancouver Canucks. So, this isn't the hardest road trip in the world. There's days off between them, but there's no easy games for the Vancouver Canucks these days just because of how short-staffed they are. So they fared all right in the last road trip, ended up winning 3 of 5. I know, can they get even 2 of 3? Well, we'll find out. But for them, it's all about focusing on getting a result in St. Louis on Thursday night.
Yeah, you're going to see, or at least you're going to hope you see a lot of gutsy games here for the next little while for the Vancouver Canucks, depending on who's available for them. And I think that that's the biggest thing right now. And let me be clear by saying this. There's not one trade that the Canucks are going to make that are going to come in and magically save this hockey team. The players that are available out there right now, or seem to be available that we're talking about, aren't going to magically transform this team. Right now, with the injuries, this is who the Vancouver Canucks are, and this is who they're probably going to be for the next couple of weeks. Let's be real. Every other team knows exactly what position the Vancouver Canucks are in, and the Canucks are going to have to sell high if they want any sort of return of someone that's going to help, push this team to a different level. So we'll see what happens here. I think that American Thanksgiving at the end of November is going to be a great time to look, and we can have a really good look at the standings at that point, Jeff, and say, what is this hockey team? And maybe by then, just maybe, they'll have a full clean bill of health, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and it's the NHL. If you're in a uniform, there have to be some expectations.
Yep.
And we're not looking for these individuals to fill the net on a nightly basis. I mean, Ray Ferraro's made the sort of famous line about if you're a 20-goal scorer, it means that you're scoring once every 4 games. But there are too many guys right now that have struggled out of the gate offensively and have yet to score a goal. This is the list. Drew O'Connor skates miles every night. He's got 1 assist in 11 games. They gave him the contract, and he's playing bottom 6 minutes, but he's still playing. Drew O'Connor hasn't scored. Atu Ratu hasn't scored. Evander Kane hasn't scored. Linus Karlsson hasn't scored. You saw what a goal here and a goal there for Max Sasson did out on that road trip. Like, these guys Archie Baines hasn't scored. Didn't play much in this hockey game. Took the early penalty. these are the guys. These are the guys that Adam Foote has at his disposal. Is it too big an ask? Maybe it is. Again, I'm not expecting these guys to light the lamp every single night, but they got to find a way to do more than just skate around really fast. There has to be a bottom line element to all of this.
Well, I mean, the Sasson, Carlson, Baines line, when it was first assembled, it dominated lines when they played against. What was it? There was one time you and I did a show and they were up 13-0 in scoring chances.
Yeah, I think that was the Dallas game.
That was the Dallas game. That it's got to be there somewhere.
Yep.
And you're right. If you're available and playing in the National Hockey League, you're here for a reason. So there's got to be just a little bit more from everybody.
And then look, I get it. You look at your best players.
Yep.
Need them. This is a brutal night for Brock Besser. Didn't have a shot on goal. Like, he took a puck in the face in the second period, left for a little while, but he still played 18 minutes and 25 seconds. And he's had a nice start. So I'm not here to carve Brock, but even he would tell you that anytime he leaves the rink and he hasn't put a puck on net, that's not a great night at the office for him. And so he's absolutely near the top of the list of guys that are going to have to shoulder some of this offensive load. As I said, he's off to a nice start. Had 4 goals in his first 8 games. He had the shootout winner in Chicago. But this was an off, quiet night for Brock Besser. We'll see if he can bounce back in St. Louis. I've been telling you for a while now, hammer that subscribe button on YouTube to follow the Rink Wide YouTube channel. In fact, we had the JT Miller scrum after the morning skate up there. That's the kind of stuff that you're going to find on our YouTube channel beyond the podcast of the live stream here. We'll be working from the rink and posting some practice and morning skate video. And, if guys are back from injury and we get our eyes on them, we'll post that kind of video as well. If you want the very latest on the Vancouver Canucks, make sure you follow us on all of our social channels and subscribe to the Rink Wide YouTube channel. All right, it's time for our Bet365 line of the night. Now, the last time that you were in with us here, the game itself didn't have a whole lot going on, but your line of the night was wild. I don't think it came through for you. But
no, it absolutely did not.
Was it a 6-way parlay or something?
It was a 6-way parlay, and I got smoked very early on in that 6-way parlay. So
go big.
Well, you know what? Yeah, it's actually the betting gods and from Bet365, they're actually saying that you cannot do that. There's one game on the NHL schedule.
That's right.
And that's exactly where I'm going. So without further ado, here it is. A parlay, John Tavares to score a goal, and regulation time will be the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Maple Leafs 3-way and Johnny Tavares to score a goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Toronto in Columbus plus 400. Good luck and Godspeed. Whatever you bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
From the frenzy of all 32 teams to just 2. Toronto is at CBJ on Wednesday. We've already had a dark Friday in the first week of the season, and that's what happens when everybody plays. They can't all play 3 nights in a row, so we get 2 teams and then back at it with a full slate on Thursday that includes the Vancouver Canucks kicking off this 3-game road trip that we've told you about in St. Louis against a Blues team that's crumbling before our eyes. Now, I say, if ever there's an opponent the Canucks should want to face, we probably said the same thing about the New York Rangers. We know how this one has ended. So Canucks can't take anybody lightly, but the Blues, their goaltending stinks. And the team in front of the goalie's not a whole lot better. I mean, they lost 5-2 at home to Detroit tonight. Lost 6-3 in Pittsburgh last night. They've lost 5 in a row, 6 of 7, and they are just getting pumped for 5 and 6 goals on the regular. Now, I say all that. They beat the Canucks 5-2 on Thanksgiving afternoon here in Vancouver. So the Canucks have already seen the St. Louis Blues, but Canucks have injuries. Blues put Jake Neighbors on IR. He leads the team with 6 goals. And Robert Thomas has missed the last couple of games. I don't know if he'll be ready to go on Thursday night as well. So it might be a battle of 2 teams that are without a fair bit of firepower at the top of their lineup.
Well, and I also think this might be what the doctor ordered for the Vancouver Canucks, is playing against a couple goalies who really are having a hard time trying to make some saves. And I think the bet or the message from Adam Foote and his coaching staff is just fired, just on net, everything and anything on net, kitchen sink.
Way more than
you
22.
Have.
22 wasn't enough. Not
Absolutely.
anywhere close. Coming into the night, I don't know if anything that happened on this busy Frozen Frenzy night changed things, but coming into the night, St. Louis was second worst defensively in the National Hockey League. Only San Jose was permitting more. So, yeah, the Blues don't have their act together, but they do have a win over the Vancouver Canucks via Suter. Canucks saw him here. Now they'll see him in his new surroundings for the next couple of seasons after signing with the Blues in the offseason. All right, travel day for the Canucks on Wednesday. So there's no media availability. I don't know that we're going to get any sort of information. I guess the tell and the tip might be if somebody gets recalled from Abbotsford. Otherwise, it may take until after the morning skate on Thursday to get a much better read on who's on the road trip. May have to do some of the sleuthing if they post those videos of guys like walking up the gangplank onto the flight or coming off the flight. Get in there and look closely at who.
I think they'll be posting the guys that finished the game.
Is that it?
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, we'll all be looking for Quinn Hughes and Connor Garland, but I don't know. Just my gut tells me that Quinn, he might go on the trip, but I don't know. If they keep saying he's going to be reevaluated on Wednesday and they play on Thursday, I'm not feeling it right now, but these guys are pro athletes and they play through a bunch, so we shall see. All right. You wish that the entertainment value was a little higher on a night like this one. No goals, not a lot of fun for the home fans, and even the big buildup of JT and EP40 didn't come anywhere close to the anticipation. End of the night, 2-0. The Rangers defeat the Vancouver Canucks, and that is going to do it for us here at Rink Wide. Jake Labazar helping out behind the scenes, and we thank him for all of his assistance. Irf, it was good to get you back in here.
I'm here Thursday.
Well, more goals. Well, these two teams and the way things are going, maybe we'll get some goals.
I don't know, man. I'm the cooler right now.
You are. I know, because Tyson was in on Sunday, and he was like, I'm 2-0 when I'm in here. At least the Canucks are 2-0 when he's in here. So
yeah, I'm in his Denver Broncos gear.
Yes,
I saw it.
I know. All right. Again, thanks to everybody. Appreciate you sticking with us here. All the Super Chat contributions that support the BC Mental Health Foundation. Bring them again on Thursday and then Saturday and Monday as well, and all the way through this National Hockey League season. Again, for Irf, I'm Jeff. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.